Good morning, everyone. I'm Danny Glazer, Program Director of the Green Business Partnership. We are so pleased that you can join us this morning to learn about how to use your company dashboard for green business success. I'm joined this morning by members of the Green Business Partnership team, Scott Fernquist, Program Director, Yana Petrakova, Program Manager, and Nicole Vergona and Ethan Kravitz, both Green Business Associates. This webinar is for our members. Whether you have achieved certification or are working toward it, the dashboard is new to everyone. The agenda this morning includes an overview of the new website, followed by an in-depth look at your member dashboard. The presentation will last around 45 minutes, and we will leave 15 minutes at the end to answer any questions. We have everybody on mute for now. You can use the questions box to submit questions along the way, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. So let's get started by reviewing the Green Business Partnership website that was launched earlier this year. So here is the homepage, and if you read through it, much of the homepage emphasizes the benefits of membership for those who are considering joining the program. Although not relevant to you as you are already members, please scroll to the bottom of the page and follow us on social media. And this is really a great way for us to be able to share green initiatives and your green initiatives that are happening at your organization. So the next section is the member section. You're all listed here, and if you scroll down, the companies that are in green are certified members. So I'm going to click now on Pell Wealth Partners, and you can see on their screen and on their introductory page that they included the Certified Green Business Seal, which is a great thing for them to do. And if you have not already done so, I would suggest that you go through all of these members that are certified and take a look at their presentations and give you some ideas for your own. And just so you know, we plan to transition these presentations in the coming months to Google Slides so that members will be able to update their green initiatives in real time. The next page is Partners, featuring our partners and sponsors without whom this program would not be possible. The Business Council of Westchester, Westchester County Government, and Green Team Spirit are the founding partners. Our platinum level sponsors include Con Edison, NYSERDA, and the Westchester Community Foundation. Regeneron is a gold level sponsor, and Agera Energy and TD Bank are silver level sponsors. We have 8 bronze sponsors, all of whom are certified members of the Green Business Partnership. These include Allied Converters, Atlantic Westchester, Bright Energy Services, the Blue Book Building and Construction Network, Diamond Properties, LaChase Construction, New York Presbyterian, and Rexon, a division of SL Green. We're proud to have the New York Library Association as our first association partner, and we are speaking to other industry associations to partner with us as well. So the next section is green services. As members, if your company sells a green product or service, your company will get a free listing in this directory. We also sell listings for $250 per year to qualified non-members who provide these services. So I'm going to scroll down and hopefully not give you a headache to the new crystal restoration as the example to see what this looks like. So if you click on full profile, it includes a description of their services and a map to locate their business and a link to visit their website. So this goes for every organization that is listed in this directory. The next section is About. If you click on the word About, like I just did, you'll find details about the benefits of the program, which you are already familiar with. There are 4 subsections under About. Presentations and newsletters is where you will find a resource library of every presentation and every newsletter that we have given since 2014. Today's webinar will also be posted here later. The internship program provides information about this exciting training program that has helped so many members achieve certification. Interns are also available to certified members who want to update their information. Please reach out to Nicole Bergona if you are looking to hire a trained intern to assist you. Meet the Team provides bios of our team members and all of our contact information. That's everybody that I mentioned this morning who was on the call. Funding and incentives provides links to different funding sources that might be available to help you accomplish some of your green initiatives. Sources listed are from utilities, NYSERDA, and a few specialized programs related to renewable energy, finance, and transportation. We welcome your suggestions on any resources that we might be able to add to this list. The events page is next. Here you will find the list of upcoming events with details and the opportunity to register. We hope that you will join us. I'm going to scroll down to the most important one for this one, which is the 8th Annual Green Business Partnership Awards. It is our program's signature event where we celebrate all of our members and honor certain members for their outstanding achievements. The forum is the last section before the dashboard that we're going to show you today. It is a private section accessible only to members for the purposes of communicating with each other directly as you work your way through the program. You can seek advice on strategies or products that have worked well, and you're welcome to share any best practices in this section. So as you can see, we have created a few starter topics related to the program's 7 areas of focus. So each member has been assigned a user handle for the forum. If you don't know what your user handle is, please email us and we will send it to you. So now I'd like to turn the webinar over to Nicole Bergona, who will take you through the dashboard. Nicole, there we go.
Okay. Okay, hello everybody. Thank you, Danny, for that introduction to the first portions of our website. Today I will be presenting the dashboard portion of our website. So when you log into our website, you are taken to your dashboard page. The dashboard page gives you access to all our tools to get certified. Our first section of the dashboard is called Get Certified. In this section, you can see the steps to Green Business Certification hyperlink, which is right here, which will give you a detailed reminder on the steps to certification. Those steps are distributing your employee survey and employee commuting survey, completing your green action list, completing the greenhouse gas emissions tool, and preparing and delivering your final presentation. You can also update your company profile and locations here. If you don't have a logo, like seen at the top here, you can also add your logo under updating your company profile and locations. The next section is your company's staff and commuting surveys. In this section, you can find our staff distribution email template, which can be found here. By clicking on this, it will show you the template that you can distribute to your staff and insert your company's name, the date you would like your employees to complete the surveys by, and insert the SurveyMonkey links here. You can find your SurveyMonkey links by clicking on Employee Survey and Commuting Survey and copying and pasting those into the distribution email template. To look at the results on the date that you told your employees to complete the survey by, you'll just click on the green buttons highlighted here. The next section is our green action list. The green action list is broken up into 7 sections: energy, recycling, purchasing, transportation, land use, and water. You can update your action items by clicking on Update Action Items here. This will take you to the 7 sections of our organization. Each section is broken up into policy, action, and performance items. So if you click on energy, it will take you to all of our required and voluntary actions. Each action has a notes section that you can give a detailed explanation for that action. This is helpful for you and your green team to communicate through the dashboard. Under some action items, there are hyperlinks to give you more information on that action. So as you can see under required action 2, we have hyperlinks to give you more information on energy audits. Going back to the dashboard page, the next section is the greenhouse gas emissions tool, which Danny will be showing everyone Hendrick Hudson's greenhouse gas inventory tool.
Thanks, Nicole. I'll change presenter back to me, so I've got it from here. Okay, so here we are with the greenhouse gas emissions inventory. So again, I just want you to know that I'm using the Hendrick Hudson Free Library as the example today, and they have granted us permission to share their tool. So from the dashboard, you can see there is a link to the greenhouse gas emissions inventory tool, and that data is collected year after year after year by calendar year. So while Hendrick Hudson has 5 years of data available, companies are only required to report on the most recent 2 calendar years, which are 2016 and 2017. So you are welcome to go back to earlier years if you want to input that data and measure trends over time. 2018 data is not available yet because we collect data for the entire calendar year and data is weather normalized, which means that we look at heating and cooling days for each year for energy by county in New York State over a 15-year period. Data normalization takes away any unusual weather patterns across the years. So 2018 data will be available to all members in January of 2019. So for purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to show you 2016 data for Hendrick Hudson, which can be accessed by clicking on 2016 and continue inventory. So this is the first section. It is the introduction. It explains that the tool is based on the Greenhouse Gas Protocol and United States EPA guidelines. The GHG protocol provides the world's most widely used greenhouse gas accounting standards. The tool collects data such as cost, usage, and activity. And if you can see down here on this introductory page, we ask companies to add square footage and number of employees, which feeds into calculations later in the tool. Going up and looking at the bar, you can navigate through the tool using the top menu, which shows all of the various categories of data, including energy, transportation, waste, water, refrigerants, green purchasing, and summary. The summary chart compares all of the years that you input into the tool, allowing you to measure trends over time. So the next section is energy. Energy calculates the greenhouse gas emissions for different types of energy usage: heating, cooling the building, and using equipment in the building. So every company will have purchased electricity and might be heating the building with natural gas, heating oil, or propane. Those are the options in the drop-down menu. The Hendrick Hudson Free Library uses purchased electricity and natural gas. They entered their fuel consumed in kilowatt hours for electricity, and the tool calculated the metric tons of CO2 equivalent. Equivalent means that we do not only calculate CO2, but other greenhouse gases, including methane and nitrous oxide, through the global warming potential. This is a more accurate way of measuring environmental impact, as the global warming potential measures how much more heat is trapped as compared to CO2. So the numbers entered into the tool, in this case our consumption and cost, are always for a whole calendar year. If the library had another fuel source, you can simply click on Add a Row, and here's the type of fuel drop down, and choose the other type of fuel. This add a row and delete a row happens across the entire tool. Other metrics in this table are cost, square footage, and number of employees. The tool calculates the metric tons of CO2 for these categories as well. And the reason to have these numbers, for example, is if they expand their building, which they actually did in 2017, their emissions will go up, but looking at square footage, it may have gone down. More employees can mean more equipment. This allows companies to understand their greenhouse gas emissions in context. So there is a chart for each section. This can help to guide a company on where to focus their efforts to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. In this case, it is pretty much half and half, so the library should focus on how to reduce both natural gas and electricity. And here we have the avoided greenhouse gas emissions section, where organizations can enter data about renewable energy sources. So if I click and add a row, you can see these options are purchased electricity, and on-site generated renewable energy such as solar, wind, or geothermal, and purchased electricity offsets such as RECs. I'm going to delete that. We also have combined heat and power. This is when you generate heat using natural gas on site and harvest the energy to heat the building. You can refer to the energy section notes on top to see how to add that data into your calculations if that pertains to your company. So the travel section is divided into business travel, company travel, and employee commuting. So we're going to start with business travel. This is done by vehicles that are not owned by the organization, such as rental vehicles, buses, and public transportation, as well as rail travel and air travel. So you will find drop-down menus in each section to specify the type of travel. For road travel, you can choose the vehicle type from the drop-down menu, including passenger car, motorcycle, light-duty truck, or bus. When you go down below, you'll see air travel. You can choose short, medium, or long-haul flights. And for rail, the options are intercity, commuter, or transit rail. So you'll see if you scroll down, and you can add rows, and you can take a look at all of those drop-down menus on this page. When you add miles traveled and cost of travel, the tool calculates the greenhouse gas emissions by those factors. As mentioned in the introduction section, these emissions are calculated using the Greenhouse Gas Protocol and EPA guidelines. Both of these organizations publish greenhouse gas emission factors, which specify how much CO2 is produced for each of the cars listed in this tool, as well as many of the other activities or sources of emissions measured in the tool. The company fleet section measures emissions attributed to vehicles that are owned by the organization. The assumption is that more information is available to the organization when they own the vehicle. So specific drop-downs are provided for you to identify the type of vehicles, the year, gas, diesel, light duty or heavy duty truck, SUV, etc. Many choices. And the assumption is that newer vehicles have fewer emissions. And in the future, we plan to incorporate electric cars into this list as well. But we'll ask you about, as you can see in this grid, we will ask you about fuel use, miles traveled, fuel economy, and cost of fuel use. So you can click on the top section. There's a link right up here on the top in the introductory section where you can look into the fuel economy of your vehicles in order to enter that into the tool. So from this data, the tool will calculate the total CO2 equivalent for fuel use per mile and per dollar of the cost. And again, there will be charts generated. There's nothing in here to generate, but there will be charts generated for this section as well as there are for all of the others. Okay, moving on to employee commuting. So the employee commuting section tracks emissions of individual employees as they travel to and from work. So we collect this data through your employee commuting survey, as Nicole showed you earlier, that is distributed to staff and accessible from your dashboard. If all employees do not answer the survey, the tool extrapolates the data, assuming that the remaining employees have similar commuting habits as to the ones that were collected. So the Hendrick Hudson Free Library was able to measure the commuting patterns of all of their employees. And as you can see, they assigned each employee a number. They also calculated part-time employees by dividing the days that they work into the work week. In the future, as employees come and go, it is easy to update this list by adding and removing staff. And then you'll see at the bottom that there is a calculation, a total calculation based on passenger car and those few that walk or bike to work. The waste section collects data on mixed waste, which is trash, mixed recyclables, which is paper, glass, aluminum, and plastics, yard waste, and food waste / composting. So companies are asked to input the quantity in pounds or cubic yards, as well as the total cost of each of these types of waste. They will not tell, so the emissions here are negative numbers because the EPA calculates emissions from waste as and considers them emissions reductions. They will not tell you the emissions from your trash, but they will tell you how much CO2 you have saved by recycling or composting as opposed to sending the trash to a landfill or, as is in the case of Westchester County, the county incinerator. So the charts will therefore be in negative numbers because by recycling and composting, you are reducing emissions as opposed to doing nothing. The charts show emissions avoided and volume in pounds of recycled material. The next section is water. So we do not calculate GHG emissions from water as the energy used to transport water from the source is not provided by the EPA. So we only track the volume of water and encourage organizations to conserve and decrease the amount of water used. So there are options when you look at the drop down of well water, town water, and gray water, which is water that is a company collects and reuses for another purpose, such as watering a garden. So the chart shows the volume of water used. And in this case, the water source is all town water for the Hendrick Hudson Free Library. So the refrigerant section. The refrigerant section is typically for large commercial refrigeration units for certain types of air conditioning and commercial refrigeration. Small air conditioners are not included. These commercial units are needed to be refilled with gases, which means, and these gases are potent, by the way, and they can leak over time, and therefore they contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. So there is an extensive drop-down list of refrigerant types to choose from, and this information should come from the person who maintains the units, or you can find it on your bills. So again, you can refer up here to the instructions on the top of this page to learn about data needed and data sources if this section applies to your organization. So now I'm switching over to Hendrick Hudson's, unless I was on it all along. I was. So I'm going over to their green purchasing. Sorry, 1 second. I want to go over to their 2017 greenhouse gas emissions inventory tool so that you could see that they've populated some items into their green purchasing category. Here we go. So we encourage organizations to track their inventory, including items that they buy most often, in order to make decisions on switching to eco-friendly alternatives, or better yet, buying less. So this tool allows companies to compare different alternatives and measure any potential increases in costs or savings by calculating the total cost and the comparative cost of the eco-friendly product. So the chart provides space to include the cost and brand of the greener option, as you can see was done here by the Hendrick Hudson Free Library. If you buy less, you can decide to offset with the greener option and keep the cost down. And you can add rows to include as many as you want, to add as many products as you want onto this green purchasing tool. So here is the 2017 summary chart for the Hendrick Hudson Free Library. So this section provides you with data comparisons for all years that have been entered into the tool. And again, in this case, they have 5 years of data. So you can use this sheet as a basis to create a sustainability report by grabbing screenshots of the various sections and referring to your greenhouse and to your green action list for some supporting narrative. So the 2017 summary section for the Hendrick Hudson Free Library shows that their avoided emissions for purchased electricity in 2017 because of the addition of their solar installation on the roof of their new children's library. So in the first year, they avoided 8.177 metric tons of CO2, and they continue to avoid emissions through alternative waste disposal. So the summary sheet displays information across the reported years for the following. So you can look at the scopes, scope 1 emissions, which are all direct greenhouse gas emissions from fuel burned on site, such as heating oil, natural gas, and propane. Scope 2 emissions, which are indirect greenhouse gas emissions from consumption of purchased electricity, heat, or steam. Scope 3 emissions, which are other direct emissions, such as transport-related activities and vehicles not owned or controlled by the reporting entity, and the avoided emissions from renewable energy and recycling and composting. And just to give you an idea of the rest of what is on this sheet without scrolling down to everything, the summary chart also has cost analyses for energy, waste, refrigerants, travel, and water. It shows the metric tons of CO2 per dollar of the cost for energy, travel, and refrigerants. It has a usage analysis for energy, travel, waste, and water. And finally, activity data per square foot for energy, and energy per employee, and travel per mile. So I'm just going to scroll down briefly. And, even if you're just inputting 2 years of data, you are going to see these types of charts and graphs. And hopefully you'll be able to use this information and data in planning and improving and reducing emissions. And again, we also have cost, and we have square footage, and we have activity data in here. So there's a lot of information for you to work with in order to make plans for your company. So now I'm going to send this back over to Nicole, who is going to do the final section, and then we're going to jump into Q&A. Nicole, I'm going to switch it over to you right now. make it easier. And Nicole, I think you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you, Danny, for that overview of our greenhouse gas inventory tool. The next section on our dashboard, as you can see, is the final presentation section. In this space, you can insert this space right here. You can insert your hyperlink to a Google Slides final presentation. Steps to do this are under the steps to Green Business Certification hyperlink that I showed you earlier in the Get Certified section. That will allow you to download a Google Slides template that will show you each part of our final presentations. This is an opportunity for your company to show the amazing things that you have completed through this process. The last section is our Green Team section, which is labeled People. You can simply invite team members or your Green Team to this section by clicking Invite Team Members. By clicking that, you'll be told to insert the first name, last name, and email address of that Green Team member. When you click Send Invite, that Green Team member will receive an invitation to activate their account through the email that you entered here. Now going back to the dashboard, if you would like that Green Team member to see the green action list and the greenhouse gas inventory tool and to make edits on that, you can simply click that Green Team member's name and activate them as a company admin. So once you have that box checked off, you can click Update Privileges, and that Green Team member will have all of those features. So now that we've gone through the dashboard, we'll be turning this over to the questions portion. So if you have any questions, feel free to write your questions in that questions box in the GoToWebinar screen.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. So we do have a few great questions that have come in, so I'm going to get started with those. So the first question we received, and if you haven't already entered a question, there's still time to do that, so you can go ahead and enter it in the box, as Nicole said. But the first question is, should we use FTE figure for the number of employees or actual number of people? We employ many folks at part-time or even a few hours a week. So the response to that would be you should use the FTE number. If you have 2 people working part-time, you can consider that an FTE, but that would just help make it more accurate in terms of the analysis of all of your data. So you should use FTE or FTE equivalents. So basically, if there's many people working part-time, if it adds up to an FTE, then you should count that person as an FTE. The second question we have here is for the energy inventory. If we have multiple buildings, do we aggregate the data for all buildings? Danny, do you want to talk a little bit about how we deal with multiple locations? Danny?
Sorry, I was muted. So it was apologies. So we do collect by building. So we will collect the information for each building because each building has different behaviors for the people who work in the building and the facility itself. So you are welcome to aggregate that data afterwards if that works for your reporting, but we do try to gather as much individual data at the building level so that we can implement changes at the building level going forward.
And what's exciting about the tool too is that we've made it very easy to add multiple locations as well. So if you have different building locations very easily through the tool. You can just add a separate location. Since to some extent our program is facilities based, it makes it easier to manage and include multiple facilities using the same tool and login. So hopefully that should help those of you who have more than one building that you'd like to include in the program.
And just so you know, all of those buildings will show up on the same dashboard. So your dashboard will say green action list for building 1, and then below it, green action list for building 2. Same thing for the greenhouse gas emissions inventory. So instead of jumping around to different sheets, it's all going to be on one dashboard.
Okay, so the next question is, can you provide any tips on how to gather all of the business travel information going back 2 years? Should we actually pull the reimbursement forms, is the question.
You know, that really is kind of up to your organization as to how you want to do that and how granular you want to get. And if it is a real pain in the neck, it might be something that you set as a goal going forward in the future to collect that data in an easier fashion. And once again, we are looking at, one bottom line annual number. So, if you do have, a gas credit card or something that you can just collectively add up for the end of the year, then that's fine. So it just, and that's another place where you can actually reach out to other members in the forum. Some really collect that data on a very, very specific and granular level. Some don't. So we don't want to make you crazy. But if you can collect that data, in the best way that works for you, and then just set a goal to collect it more specifically in the future.
Right, and we're really hoping that by using this tool and by entering in the data, you're setting yourself up moving forward so that it's easier every year after. So hopefully, this provides the framework and you have the people in place, the processes in place, so that gathering that data in the future is not a problem at all. But it's really a case of, the more you put in, the more you get out. So it's really, of course, up to you and what you can do. But obviously, the data is more useful if you can provide multiple years if possible. So the next question that I'm seeing here is, employee commuting does not seem to account for EV and hybrid cars in the CO2 emissions, or does it?
It does. It doesn't. So this is something that we're going to be definitely adding in. So whoever is specifically asking that question, if you could please shoot us an email. This has come up for EV before. I'm surprised about hybrid cars. I thought that would have been in there, but maybe not. So that's something that we absolutely need to fix. And so we could work with you on improving that from our end.
Does anyone else have any other questions that they'd like to ask? We have time for some more, but those were all very good. Very good questions. Here we go. How do I get a username and password to access the dashboard?
Oh, okay. Shoot us an email. I mean, your username is your email address. And I mean, I can say this publicly because we put everybody in as GBP company in the beginning, and then asking you all to go and change that password. So we gave out a generic password. So it should be your email address and GBP company. If your email address is not working, then you were not in as a user, and so we will absolutely add you as a user onto your dashboard. So please just send us an email.
And once you do log in and you're successful logging in, and you can invite other members of your team or organization to join the platform as well. That's a really nice feature that Danny showed earlier, because you can invite others, and if you need to give them administrative rights, you can make them admins as well. That's all in your ability. So you don't need to do it through us. You can actually control those settings as well through the dashboard. Okay, I think that's all the questions we have for this morning.
Okay, so please, our contact information, hopefully you all have it and it is available on the website, and feel free to reach out to us anytime and we will get back to you as soon as we can, usually within a few hours. And just thrilled that you're all, took time out to learn about the dashboard, and we encourage you to play around with it and reach out to us with any questions. Okay, I'm going to end the webinar.